All right, so now let's look at the solo. This is going to be in the key of A. As with many of Angus's solos, we're going to combine the A minor pentatonic with the A major pentatonic with the A blues scale to create this big scale that could just fall under the category of blues. Angus is a blues-based player. So while it's in the key of A, we actually start off by playing over an E chord with this phrase. So the solo starts off with a pre-bend from the 14th fret of the G string. So we're going to bend up a whole step and then strike the note. The first measure will consist of 6 quarter note triplets. Now when we play quarter note triplets, what we're trying to do is squeeze 3 notes in the space of 2 beats. So the first measure would sound like this. In the next measure, we're going to play 8th note triplets. We'll have 6 of those, followed by 2 8th notes. So we have the first measure, 6 quarter note triplets. Second measure has 6 8th note triplets, followed by 2 8th notes. It's a lot of hits from this pre-bend of the 14th fret of the G string. And now the solo begins. We're now in the key of A. We're going to jump to 5th position, and here's the first phrase. So we're going to bend up a whole step from the 8th fret of the B string 2 times. Then we'll do it a 3rd time, and then grab the 5th fret of the high E string. Back to the B string, pull off 8 to 5. Now we're going to play the blues note on the 8th fret of the G string, followed by the 5th fret of the B string. Now from the 7th fret of the G string, we'll strike that note, bend up a whole step, release the bend, pulling off to the 5th fret of the G string, down to the 7th fret of the D string. Okay, continuing onwards, we'll play the 5th fret of the D string, and then we'll have 2 muted notes. So I'm just going to lightly cover the strings with my left hand so that I don't hear a note if I were to strike those strings. But I'll remain on the D string, so 5th fret, 2 muted notes, to the 7th fret. Now to the G string, 7th fret, bend up a whole step, release the bend, pulling off to the 5th fret, back to the 7th fret. And here's the phrase that we've just learned. All right, let's take a look at the next phrase now. It sounds like this. So this phrase consists of a 5-note pattern that we're going to play 5 times. We'll bend up a whole step from the 7th fret of the G string, followed by 5B, 5 on the high E, and then pull off 8 to 5 on the B string. And we'll do that a total of 5 times. Once again. Sixth time starts off with the same idea. Bend up a whole step from 7 on the G, followed by 5 on the B. Now I'll play the 5th fret on the top 2 strings, followed by the 7th fret of the G string along with the 7th fret of the B string, and bend upwards a half step and release that bend. So let's put those notes together. Here's the phrase that we've just learned. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, for our next phrase, we're going to shift positions, but we're still in the key of A. Sounds like this. All right, so this phrase starts off with a whole step bend from the 13th fret of the B string, followed by a whole step bend from the 12th fret of the B string, and then 2 hits on the 10th fret. That's a great blues lick to steal to use in your own playing. Just be aware that the root note is played with the first finger. I recommend stealing that one. Okay, back to the 12th fret of the B string. Strike it again, this time bending up a half step, releasing, pulling off to the 10th fret. Back to 12, bend up a half step 2 times, followed by 12 without the bend. Now we're going to bend up a half step from the 12th fret of the B string, grab 12 on the high E string. You can let the high E string ring, back to 12 on the B, and do a pre-bend of a half step from 12 on the B. So for those final 4 notes, or I should say the final 3 notes, you can sustain the 12th fret of the high E string. And here's that phrase once again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, here's the next phrase. So the first 4 notes consist of a whole step bend from the 13th fret of the B string, followed by the 13th fret without the bend. Strike that note once again, pulling off to the 10th fret. Now we're going to have a 2-note lick that's going to be repeated 6 times. We'll play the 13th fret of the B string, and then do a pre-bend of a whole step from the 13th fret of the B string. So those 2 notes are played 6 times, and the rhythm is kind of half tempo for the first 2 times, and then we double it up for the next 4 times. After doing that 6 times, on the 6th time we're going to release the bend. Now 10 on the B, pre-bend of a half step from the 12th fret, same B string here, and then release the bend, coming back to the 10th fret of the B string. Final 2 notes of this phrase, 11 on the G, 10 on the B. Okay, so once again, here's the phrase that we've just learned. All right, here's the final phrase of the solo. So we're going to start off from the 10th fret of the B string, bend up a whole step from 12 on the G, and then play 10 on the B 2 times. So we've just done this. Now slide 12 to 14 on the G string. So we've just done this. Strike 14 on the G string once again. Double stops now, 13B along with 12 on the high E. 12 on the G string 2 times. So we've just done this. Now on the D string, slide from 14 back to 12, followed by 10 to 12. Now 10 on the D, 3 times on the 12th fret of the A string. That's our root note A. And then 10 on the A string, followed by 12 on the low E, and we're going to slide downwards. And the solo ends 20th fret on the B string, so we're going to shift positions here, followed by a pre-bend of a whole step, and then strike 20 once again without the bend, and then bend up a whole step from the 20th fret of the B string 2 times, and the second time we're going to slide quickly off of that note. All right, so now let's put all that together with the backing track. First at the medium tempo and then at the slower tempo. So check it out.